So thank you everybody for being here, bearing with me for a few extra minutes today. We have been going through this year popular questions that Janet gets either about sewing or her business or even a little personal stuff, some fun stuff we've been talking about. Our most recent episode last week, we talked about matching the stripes across the shirt onto the sleeves. And Janet showed a quick demo on that, which I know a lot of you really liked and found informative. So if you missed that, you can always find that here on Facebook or on our YouTube account. Islander Sewing Systems on YouTube. Go figure. We got real creative there with the name. So today we are still, just ticking through those questions. So if you have any, feel free to put them in the comments. If we can get to them today, we might. If not, we can always put them on our list for the future. So like I said, there's that stripes one from last week. We've talked about a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Some strictly business.
Yep. Well, it's all fun to me. I'm one of the lucky people who gets to do what I love to do. So everything but paperwork I love about my job. I don't like technical difficulties. Boy, did we have technical difficulties yesterday. Ugh. And then I tried to use logic and scientific reasoning to figure out what was wrong, and went through all these tests, and it was because we couldn't get one of our computers on the internet, and it turned out none of my efforts helped. We just had to shut the modem down for a half an hour, and we were back in business, but it took us 4 hours to figure that out. That was frustrating.
4 hours and a lunch break.
And an IT,
maybe you should have just had
IT
lunch
on the phone.
You should have just had lunch sooner.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Patricia's having a computer fit today as well, so she feels your pain. I
feel your pain, girl.
Okay, so also last week, was it last week that somebody asked? I don't know how it came up. If it was asked about if you sew for yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Janet had kind of hinted that she does, but she doesn't typically have time to just freely sew for herself, but that she was working on a little project outside of her everyday garments and was doing some home deck stuff.
I was doing home deck, which is not part of my wheelhouse specifically, but I can figure out just about anything, just about. And these were simple projects. But I did use Islander techniques on everything except for the last 3 pillows.
Well, you better have.
Well, I had a pin.
But you still used Islander techniques.
Well, yeah.
Thumb under, fingers on top.
Well, yes, I did. But I had to pin the whole darn thing.
Oh, man. You heard it here first, folks.
Well,
did you put 2 fingers?
No, I did not pin every 2 fingers, but it's chenille, which it works a lot like velvet, so it keeps pushing itself. So you can only counteract that so much with your hands, and then you have to employ a pin. The chenille has a very thick nap. So, but I did have some really good success with one of our products. So, we use the double-sided tape for putting hems up and everything.
What's the name? It has a name. That's it?
Ultra soft, double-sided tape, fusible tape. Anyway,
fusible tape, yes.
So, I'm making these pillows, they're pillow covers with a zipper in the back, so that you can, remove them and wash them and whatever. So, but I'm making it out of this thick chenille. And to do the zipper technique the way that we do it, no pins or basting, that chenille is not going to press the hem, the seam open and stay there. So I got out my double-sided tape and then put it along the edge of both sides of the zipper opening, pressed it so that it would stick and stay there, and then I could put the zipper in.
You're thinking.
I know. It worked like a charm. So I employed my dressmaker techniques for my home deck project.
Yeah, so don't think that some of those notions and tools that you have in your sewing area can't be used for other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got to think about it. For me, it doesn't always click right away, but I'll walk out of the studio if I'm.
You gotta take a lunch break.
Take a lunch break. Take
A shower. Lots of people come
shower
up
works
with their
really well. I have a friend
shower ideas.
who every time she takes a shower, she'll call me. She'll go, "I had this great idea in the shower," and she'll tell me. So then one day she called me and she was just couldn't figure something out. She wanted, I don't know what it was. And she goes, "I don't know what to do. What should I do?" I said, "Take a shower."
Sometimes you just need to step away.
Yeah.
Because you're too close.
Exactly. And that happens to me if I'm in the moment and I'm struggling, and if I keep struggling, I'll make a mess of it, I'll get angry, I'll be...
Sometimes you're just making it worse.
Making it worse. But if I walk away when the struggle starts to happen, and I have time to not think about it, when I think about it again, the solution is a lot clearer.
So Donna says that she used that tape to fix her neighbor's pockets. She wrote you about it.
Uh-huh.
And she said the two-way pocket patches are still holding strong.
Excellent. Excellent.
So there you go. And then Sherry Gregory is asking, do you ever use a walking foot for tricky fabrics?
I don't. I have them. And I will use them for quilting. I think it's very difficult to get 3 layers to go through smoothly, especially when one is lofty like a batting. So I will, but I don't like it because it slows me down. It's inhibiting because I can't see, because the way they build those big old boxy things.
They're too fat.
They're too fat. You can't, it's just a big mess. To me, it's just a big eyesore. It blocks my view of what I'm trying to do, so I can't be as precise, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It slows you down because it's got feed dog in it, so it's working feed dog top and bottom. Where if you had a machine that had feed dog top and bottom, like an IDT in a FOP, you go at your regular pace no matter what. But when you put that even feed foot on, that walking foot, it definitely slows you down. And everybody knows I don't like to sew slow.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Trying to catch up over here. So, Are you showing the internet off in the house?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so, unlike the prom/wedding outfit that she promised to show you.
Someday I'll get it out.
She, not to point that out or anything, she did tell you last week that she would show you what she was working on, and I took some pictures today. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that Facebook doesn't let me share pictures in the comments. So I just printed them out for you, and then I think Janet's talking about maybe sharing them.
Yeah, I can put them in a newsletter.
Or, we'll
Yeah.
make a post or whatever too. I'll just see a little bit better because I don't know how great you'll see this. So why don't you tell them what all you were doing and your process and...
Oh, okay. Well,
you were pretty excited about it.
I am excited about it. I just don't know how much anybody else can be excited about it. But here's the thing. I'm we're grandparents raising teenagers, and they are currently 13, 14, and 15. And anybody who's had teenagers or has them knows they're not the neatest, cleanest creatures. So my living room became a shambles. to the point where I was just avoiding even going in there. So recently we decided to pretty much almost gut it. We put new floors in, had it painted, and I bought some reasonably priced furniture. And I am making some pillows, recovering some pillows, and making Roman shades. So I made the Roman shades first, and then I worked my way. I don't know a lot about interior decorating. I have friends who are interior decorators, and I know the one thing they say is you got to start with something, and then you build on that. So since I had pretty much a blank slate, I started with the Roman shades. And I found a cotton linen at Joann's, and I loved it. And then I started building from there, and I made some bright colored pillows. And then the last thing I just finished up last night were these chenille pillows. And I'm going to show you this chenille because it's just, oh, if you could just only feel it. But it has this beautiful motif on it. Am I doing good?
You're doing well.
Okay, I'm doing well. And I did 3 different colors, so those are my colors. And that chenille is what was so thick that would have given me trouble putting my zippers in the way I normally do without pins or basting, but by using that double-sided tape, it allowed it to stick down. But this is quilted fabric, so it is 3 layers already. But oh, it's just the most luscious stuff, and they have several colors. And again, I got it at Joann's. I'm just thrilled that I was able to get reasonably priced and attractive and modern goods. And yeah, so it was the only thing I couldn't get was zippers to match. Unless you want to put an invisible zipper in. I don't want to put an invisible zipper in a chenille, quilted chenille. It's just not going to be nice. And they had gray, black, and brown. Pretty much was it. I was really frustrated.
For what, the length that you wanted? Or?
And no matter, in an all-purpose zipper. I wanted an all-purpose zipper.
So they were just out?
They just don't carry very much. The section's not very big. They had more invisible, and then they had a nice selection of sporty zippers, you know, like you put in jackets and stuff, with the bigger. Yeah, I know. I was
like
surprised.
A zipper like I put in the dog costume.
Yes.
Because they had tons when I went there.
Well, I went over a 2-week period, and they never refilled it. And
but there were like empty spots?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
No, I mean, I'm sure they should have more colors in there, but they've just maybe just filled it up with gray and black and brown.
Yeah.
But that, you know, here I am with teal, turquoise, and terracotta. And of course, I put in the lap zipper so you can't see it. And I can always do a longer one because, you know, with the all-purpose zippers, they're polyester, and those teeth are very flexible. You can stitch right across them. So you could shorten that zipper to any length you want without having to put a lot of work into it. And that's what I did end up doing by pulling one out of my stash to go with the teal. And it was, 6 inches too long. So I just
Go figure. She has a stash of zippers.
But like always, when you have a stash, but you still end up going to the fabric store. Not the right exact color thread or just the exact color zipper. Or sometimes you have the right length, the right color but not the right length. It's too short, whatever. But anyway, I enjoyed my home decorating project.
Do you want to show them your little homemade? I would call it a style board, but it's more like a style fabric.
Yeah.
Well,
it doesn't make a lot of sense here.
She sewed it together.
But this is this piece right here. It looks kind of like paint drips. That is the Roman shades. And my Roman shades my windows are over 5 foot long, so they're real long. And that's where I started, and then I build my color story around that. And here's a funny story. this particular fabric is Kelly Ripa.
Really?
Yeah, the Kelly Ripa collection. And she has it in a couple of different colorways. But, yeah, just worked for me. And I really enjoyed it. And I didn't spend a lot of money. So when the kids spill stuff or beat each other with the pillows or whatever, I'll just put another. And that's why I made sure I put zippers in all of them so that when something happens, I can just peel it off and make a new one.
So we don't have photos of the whole room because she's still working on that. And even right now, I went in to take some pictures and a lamp was delivered and being set up. I was like, oh, can you turn that on for a little bit better lighting? So just to show you how her little style board-esque came together.
It just doesn't, like you with the light coming through the window, the colors don't pop like that.
But it's good to see like what it looks like and then what it looks on the window. So these are her 3 chenille pillows. This is backwards, so it's hard for me to. And you can see the Roman shades behind and how those turned out, and that gives you an idea what she's talking about, how tall those windows are. And then her additional fabrics are on the love seat and another Roman shade there. And this photo is a little, didn't print as well either. But good thing they already saw the fabrics on here.
Yeah, when we take the photograph, I'll do really good at the right time of day for the color.
There's a lot of movement in there with moving cords and.
Yeah, our house is over 100 years old. And the molding around those really tall windows is really wide and multi-layered. So I really couldn't put it, I didn't want to put drapes that would be that intrusive in the room to cover up all of that and then cover up the beautiful molding. So it always only made sense to put the Roman shades in there so that molding is still part of the architecture of the room.
Yeah, you don't want to cover that up. So there you go. She made good. I made good on her promise to show you what she's been looking at. There's some chitter chatter about Joann's, and Bretta says, my Joann no longer carries much in decorating fabric and moved more fleece into that department. Also very little in nice apparel fabric.
Well, they never had very nice apparel fabric. But the one thing that I did find was their home deck fabrics online, their online store, it's huge. It's huge. So if you find something that you like, you can go on there and find, like if it's a collection, the other fabrics that are in the collection, or similar fabrics. So I know I've done all my shopping to redecorate my house, and we're doing 3 rooms, and I've done it almost all online except for the shopping at Joann's. And I figure I'm a really good COVID shopper because I'm not spending a lot of time out in the public, and I'm getting my decorating done. And you know what? It's, for me, being attention deficit and hating to shop, I go to the store, I buy things just so I can get it over with. Where if I'm online, I'll just keep clicking until I find what, or I'll go again, go take a break, come back, think about it. So I think maybe I'm a better shopper online than I am in the store. What do you think?
You seem equally good at spending money. No matter where you're shopping.
Yes, but were the results satisfying?
Yeah, probably, yes. You're right. Better online. But Bretta, I know what you're talking about, and I have noticed some people are pointing out different stores and different locations and stuff like that, and I do know what you're talking about. It's like one time you go in there and they have this huge fabric section, and then you go back 6 months later and you think, where did it go? In the fleece especially, I have definitely noticed
2-3 more extra
the
rows.
overtaking of the fleece, which has its place, but with what we do and what you're here to learn, there's only so much
Yeah.
with fleece and novelty fleece and character fleece and fleece,
Yeah, and
double
I'm not,
fleece,
yeah.
triple fleece.
The only fleece that I'm a fan of at Joann's is their, what's it called? Luxe.
Lux.
Their Luxe brand. And they also have a no pill. Now, I haven't tried that one, but I did try the Luxe about 5 years ago, and I still wear that cape, and I still get compliments on it every time I wear it. And it just was it stays looking new. So it is kind of, the top of the line.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But Janet really did hit a good week or a good couple weeks or whatever with what they had, and she was able to put a great look together. So sometimes, if you don't want to buy online, maybe you just want to check back. I know when they start moving, this seems a lot more spring-like. When they start moving their seasons over, they'll get new stuff in. I've noticed that as well. Like when
Sure.
people are starting to get ready for Halloween, they'll have a little bit more of that type of fabric, but it is hard to know what they're gonna have. But if other things there, I mean, it's like when I went to buy those t-shirts, it's like I found t-shirts in 4 different spots. Blank t-shirts, and it's like, could you maybe put those all together and give us some more fabric or zippers or something?
Yeah. And, if you can go to, and I don't know, do they call them Super Joann's or they used to call them Etc.
Etc.
And so look for one of those because they're more likely to have larger selections of the home deck because they have a larger real estate. So we're lucky enough. We're in the Detroit metropolitan area, so within driving distance, there's probably 6 Joann's, maybe more.
Some better than others.
Yeah, back in the early days of sewing and selling at art fairs, it used to spend Monday mornings circling the entire metro area, going to what was then called the Minnesota Fabrics, which became Hancock Fabrics. They were really good for us, and then some Joann's, but we would hit 6, 7 in a day.
Oh, yep. Josie says, I really miss Hancock Fabrics and Fabricland. And Sherry said, I love that Luxe fleece, and Geraldine said that she made her Baja with it, and we definitely recommend that and the Luxe fleece in general. But like I said, there's only so many things you can make out of fleece.
Yeah, or you should.
Right, okay.
There's so many things you should make out of fleece. But I know at Christmas time, a lot of people go and they don't sew, do those no-sew.
Yeah.
Where they fringe them or tie them.
And they're good for kids' projects and stuff like that.
And it's, all of our kids have always had some novelty polar fleece blanket kind of thing.
Yeah.
To take with them to sleepovers or curl up with on the couch. So those kind of things are also great, especially for the kids, because you can always find one of their favorite characters or something.
So Janice says, she says 2 things. One more just came in. She used to work at Minnesota Fabrics many, many years ago. That must have been fun. And she also said that she likes upcycling. She says a dress can always end up as a pillow, which I love that. I love those ideas, especially, there's certain things that you have that have sentimental value and you don't want to throw them away, but Lord knows you're never going to wear it again.
Well, and you do see people on Facebook where they'll go to the thrift store and they'll buy a size 22 dress or coat or whatever, and they come, and it makes sense. You go to the larger sizes because you've got more fabric to work with, and they make really great, cute things. Sometimes they are similar to what it was originally, and sometimes completely diverse, but it doesn't matter. If the fabric's still good, why not? In this country, we throw way too much stuff away, and I'm not going to say I'm less guilty than anybody else, other than grocery bags. I do not use grocery bags. Very seldom do I use a grocery bag because I designed a reusable grocery bag pattern quite a few years ago. I think it was in 2009, maybe. And so that's one place I feel like I do the right thing. I don't.
That's
I got one.
I got one.
I
do the right thing. And I'm sorry. I know that somebody else. My comments are not letting me go back far enough. But I know that somebody else said that they also like to upcycle like shirts and stuff and use the design on them to be the pillow, which is really fun. If you have like even like I'm thinking like a concert shirt or something like that could be cool to have that design, or if you're doing like a sports themed.
Well, I actually have something I bought at Chico's years ago, and it was a sweatsuit, kind of, lightweight, designer one, but it was hand embroidered in the back with really big stitches of yarn, but it's like an Asian design. Oh yeah, I've hung on to that for years because I'm like, I'm not giving that up. I'm going to do something with it. But
something.
Yeah, a pillow would be good.
A pillow would be good. And there's a couple people pointed out, and pillows are great because it's so easy to change them out. And, you can do it inexpensively if you just keep the pillow form. And you have, you can wait for a sale at Joann's, or you can upcycle stuff that you already have.
Yeah, you can upcycle for almost free. So if you were on an even lower budget than I was this time, if I was on a lower budget, I would have considered the same thing. Chenille bedspreads would be great, pillows, all kinds of stuff you could find at thrift stores. And
Sherry Sparks says she uses your jeans bag pattern to upcycle her husband's tired jeans, and every time she goes to the store she gets compliments.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, and and she says she also turns men's shirts into toddler dresses. She did shirts that were from a grandpa who had passed away, so that's sentimental value. And I know we had mentioned we have plans to do that into stuffed animals with my grandfather's clothing. We're looking forward to that.
I saw a post on Facebook the other day, and this woman was saying she was very proud of her husband because he made a dining shirt. And she goes, didn't have a pattern, and I didn't know exactly how they were done, but he did it, and he did a great job. What it is...
You're going to explain what a dining shirt is? Because I don't know.
It took me a minute, and then I saw it, and I went, oh, it's a bib. You take the whole shirt, and the collar, you split the collar, and you fasten it back here. I know you're laughing because you're not 80 years old, but people get older or they're disabled, they spill a lot of stuff on them.
Some people are just slobs.
Some people are just slobs. And I remember a woman came to me once and she was trying to design something. She worked at a retirement place, and she was trying to design what she called a sophisticated bib, trying to come up with something that didn't look like you had a little toddler's bib on. But it didn't. This looks like he's wearing a shirt. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Do you make it to match your shirt you're already wearing, or just make it look like any shirt?
I'm not an expert. I only saw one Facebook
I suppose
post.
You could do it either way, right?
Right. His was just, the thing is that if you spent any time at his table, you would figure out that, yes, that's his bib if you were in a dining room. However, other than that, it's not a big eyesore. I used to have dinner with a woman occasionally who did take her napkin and tie it up around her neck like a bib every time. And it was like, it was a little odd. Just a little. But
only while you're eating.
Yeah.
But then when you go walking around or whatever, at least she's not sloppy.
Exactly. That was her thing. And she always looked nice, so I can't fault her on that. But this way, especially for people that have tremors, they're going to spill a lot. So having something where you don't feel...
Or just any person eating spaghetti ever.
Or me every time I wear white.
Yes.
Every time.
That's why you don't see her in white.
No, not very often.
If you do, look for the spot.
Look close.
This is not where we were going, but there's so many.
Where we're going?
No, I'm moving on, but there's so many cool things that people have done to upcycle stuff, so I want to share them.
Before you do that, I want Janet people just to weigh in. Of course. we could do a sew-along of a double green shopping bag.
Sure.
Let's see if people are interested. You don't buy fabric, you go get some old blue jeans. So it's a really fun and easy project.
Yes.
And then you have a reusable grocery bag that's washable.
All right, so let us know if you would be interested in that. Liz says that she's making a pet pillow for the cat. She loves my husband's lap, so I'm using his old jeans.
Oh,
so
that's
cute.
nice. She'll like that.
Janice says I've made handbags from little girls' skirts. Very cute.
Yeah.
Mary Berg says my husband spilled red wine on an embroidered Tommy Bahama shirt. She said she made
Bless his heart.
She said she made it into a pillow and gave it to him for his birthday.
Oh, that's nice. Because those are some pricey shirts. An embroidered one was, there was 3 figures there.
And Jillian says a friend showed her an apron her daughter made from old flannel shirts.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Yep.
And then Mary said he needed that bib thing, the shirt bib, and he'd still have his Tommy Bahama shirt.
Well, you know what? You might need to go get him one so that he doesn't ruin another good shirt.
All right, we got some yeses for the shopping bag. Enough that I feel like people are not saying no.
Okay. Well, if there's interest, it is a fun
Pam
project.
needs the push because she says she already has the pattern and lots of jeans, but no action yet.
Oh, well, we got to do something about that. And here's the problem with it. There is a problem. It's addictive. So when I decided, and I'll tell you this little story since we have no agenda anyway, apparently. When we did, a lot of you know I did a big sewing expo in Novi, Michigan for Jessica and I did it together for over 20 years. And one year we decided to do what we called the Reconstruction Zone. And we even got the big yellow construction.
It's so cute.
It was so cute. We had a wheelbarrow, and the wheelbarrow was full and overflowing of blue jeans that we bought at the thrift store. And there was lots of projects, and people could come into this event and grab a pair or 2 of jeans and make one of these projects or make whatever they wanted. So, we overbought on jeans, so when they came back, they got dumped in my studio, and literally in the middle of my studio was this wheelbarrow full of blue jeans just sitting there on the floor, and I said,
And then we didn't see Janet for a couple weeks.
I made 30. I couldn't stop. All the cute little pockets, all the different tags. I mean, I just went crazy. And everybody that year for Christmas got their Christmas gift in one of these bags. So it was fun, but when I get started, I can't stop. So it is addictive, at least it was.
And that's where the pattern was born.
And so I developed the pattern, and I said to my staff, I go, well, I already have everything worked out because I kept notes and everything. Why don't we just throw this into a booklet and we'll desktop publish it. We'll just print it on our printer here, and if somebody buys one, we'll print it and send it to them. Well, after we put it out for sale, we got an order for 72. And my employee at the time went, oh, wow. And an hour later or something, another order comes in, another 72. Next day, she opens up her email. She goes, oh, crap! 144! Okay, we can't print that fast. So we ended up having to print it and sold many thousands of them. It was a great run, and we still have it. You'll see it on the website, and it's still available. And you don't have to make it with jeans. You can make it with leftover upholstery fabric, which I've done.
Which she's also done. She has one don't you have one that matches your chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, well, it was left over.
It's cool fabric, so
Yeah.
nobody knows when you're out shopping with it
That
it
matches
matches
your
your chair,
chair.
and you don't sit in your chair with your bag. Not
Right.
not usually. So
But anyway, so yeah, we could maybe do that this spring. I've got a couple of other ideas for some abbreviated sew-alongs. So
so keep your eye out for any cool. I mean, it doesn't have to be cool jeans, but anything like, don't throw your jeans out if you're doing your spring cleaning, and look for anything that has, if you're into like cool designs, like pockets, embroidered pockets, stuff like that.
rhinestones, whatever flips your boat if it looks cute. I'll give you a couple of tips right now. In my Salvation Army, if you go on Fridays, they have everything is tagged with a certain color. So maybe this Friday will be all yellow tag items are 50% off or something like that. So that's where I bought all my jeans.
Well, yeah, because when
would
you're
go
not
on Friday and you pay $1 for them.
you're not looking for them to fit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. You're not.
You're just
having
looking. I'm picking them up, looking at pockets, and if you're going to collect a couple of pairs of jeans, I would suggest 2 to 4 pair, and not the same colorway.
Yeah, not like all indigo.
Not all the same. What do I want to say? Well, if you did it all in the same color, denim, plain, all matchy, it'll look nice.
Do you have a bag hanging up right out there?
I don't know. Well, look. I think they're all in my car, but you never know. Anyway, it just looks more interesting if you have different varying shades of the denim. So when we would do it for a hands-on class in person, we tell everybody to bring, it takes about 2 pair, well, you could do it out of 1, but anyways, I would tell everybody to bring 2 pair, and then they would trade so that you could get various shades. So that's another way to do it. But again, you probably got them in your closet, but if you don't have them in your closet, you can certainly get them very inexpensively at garage sales or thrift stores.
No, Mary, we are talking about the double green shopping bag, which we shouldn't have any out there, but this is the pattern, and it gives you a good idea of what the bags look like, how Janet used. And that middle one, you can see there's 4 different pockets.
And you can see they're little tiny ones, so I went to the kids section to get the little tiny pockets.
You can see this, it looks like she used the whole butt end of the jean,
Yep.
not just the pocket, whereas that one in the middle, she took the different pockets and put them on.
And if you'll open it up, the inside covers have other examples too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So here's one.
Now you know why she's doing 30. They don't look...
I know, they don't look... These are a part of the original 30. So this one down here is fabric paint. This one right here, I use a bleach gel pen. You want a fresh bleach gel pen, and you can write your shopping list on your bag if you like. What else have we got there? Just some different colors. You can use the wrong side of the denim to get varied. And then
so this one up here does show you, like, if it's all... If your eye or your aesthetic doesn't handle the mismatch, there is that one there that's like the same colorway, but it's still different because the pocket is put over the seam there. To give you an idea.
Inside back cover has has one made out of vinyl fabric. Now this is that stuff where they kind of cover it. I would not recommend that because after using it for a while, the handles started to crack and it just couldn't handle the wear. And after all, if you're going to make it for a grocery bag, and I specifically took the time to design this, it's the same approximate size and shape of a brown grocery bag, so that it wouldn't. I've had people say, "Well,
but I am stronger."
Yes, but I enlarged it, and I'm like, "Yeah, but you enlarge it and then you fill it, then you can't lift it." The idea is to have just approximately the amount of weight and size that you can carry, but better than the brown paper bags because these have handles, so you could actually carry depending on the weight, 2 in each hand. Or put one on your shoulder too. So they come in handy that way as well.
So Pam did a really cool thing. She said, I went through my stash at one point and made a bunch of grocery bags, offered to my friends for a donation to the food bank.
Oh, nice.
Thought that was a good fit. The food bank really benefited.
Very nice.
That's very
a great
cool.
job. That's a great. And any of you could do that after we do this. You could take it to your church bazaar, your community charity projects, Boy Scouts, 4-H, whatever. That would be a great way to get people involved.
Right, Sherry asked, if we're buying used jeans, what size do you recommend?
Well, okay. So an average adult size is just fine. But the bigger the better. Sometimes I bought
more jean for your buck.
Well, yeah, and remember when, and I know sometimes they still do, but do you remember when the young people were wearing jeans that were like 4Xs? They were so big there was no way the
Like just the legs, like the waist.
No, the whole pant was too big for them. But, well, maybe the waist.
Yeah, it was too big. It wasn't fitted, but it didn't fall down.
They're really baggy
The
jeans.
Jankos.
Yeah, is that what they were called? Anyway, I was doing a TV show in New Mexico, and I needed some jeans, and I went into a thrift store, and I found a couple pairs of those. And they had really cool logos on them, too.
Yeah.
They were expensive jeans when they first came out. So look for those as well, because when they're in the thrift store, they're no longer expensive.
Yeah, Janice says I buy all sizes. I would say, I mean, like Janet said, the bigger you get, more jean for your buck, more fabric for what you're buying, but for your own aesthetic, be looking at what kind of shades you like, what detail, what pockets, stuff like that is going to be more important to some people.
Yeah, and for the cutesy pockets, and if you want to put multiple pockets, the little jeans, so go to the kids department. I wouldn't get a woman size 2 jean.
Right.
And I don't like a lot
unless it has a killer pocket.
Pocket or killer detail of some kind. But, and I don't like, I tried pulling them down.
You say that every time.
I don't like a lot of stretch. They're those like jeggings.
Oh, yeah.
If you can find raw denim that has no stretch to it, that's even better. A little bit of stretch is okay.
So like men's Levi's,
you go to the
Wrangler.
If you go to the men's department, the jeans aren't as cute, but there's lots of fabric, lots of good, strong denim.
Little stretch.
Yeah. You can cutesy them up with the details you get from other jeans. Did we go completely off the grid today?
Yeah, we did. So we're not going to get to what we were originally going to talk about, which is not that big of a deal, and we'll definitely talk about it again. But there was a question earlier that we can answer now.
Okay.
I believe. At least quickly, and then if you need to get into it again later, we can.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
I don't know, just like to over-explain before I tell you. We were talking about the feet earlier, and Sherry asked about if you use the walking foot and stuff. And it was asked, what specialty feet do you use, if any?
Okay. That's a rough question because I prefer industrial feet. So the feet that I would use, for example, a lot of you use an edge stitching foot. So it's a foot with a little silver blade coming down so that you can butt it right up against what you're sewing into. I use, and so that works really good, especially if you have a thick edge and you don't want to roll off the edge, you're top stitching a hem or something. I use, in the industry, it's called a compensating foot. It doesn't work the same, but it does the same thing. So it's a two, you know how your foot is an open toe, so there's 2 toes? Well, one toe is thicker than the other. So it compensates for that area. So that one is riding right along on the bed, and the other one is up on the fabric, so you can stitch on the fabric without falling off. So it's hard for me to say what specialty feet I would use. Of course, I would use a blind hem, that foot, if I was doing a blind hem. What other specialty feet? 1/4 inch foot I would use, definitely. Specifically because a lot of what I draft is 1/4 inch, and I love the convenience of the fact that if your 1/4 inch foot has that little stripe across the toe, you know right where to stop to turn a corner, and there's no guesswork. So I love that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The zipper foot, but you know, if you've seen me put a zipper in, I don't like the zipper feet of the home machines because they're too wide to be efficient, because they get in the way of the zipper, or the zipper gets in the way of the foot. I don't know which, because they're too wide. They're too wide because you've got to have a wide opening in a home machine that you want to embroider a zigzag on. So when you make that hole for the needle hole wider, you've got to put the feed dog farther apart. When you put the feed dog farther apart, for the foot to come in contact with it, the foot has to be wider. And a zipper foot should be real skinny and narrow, so you can be right on that tape, and you never miss a beat, and you're so much straighter. So either a machine that takes that type of foot, because if your feed dog are so far apart, you can't use a narrow foot. But you know who has the best zipper foot is the featherweight. And a lot of you have a featherweight, and you might not even use it as much as you should, because they're very efficient machines.
There you go. So what you are saying is you do not use specialty feet very often.
Correct.
Unless it is a specific.
I would use like a binding, for putting a binding on, but they don't have those for home machines. They only have them for industrial machines. Well, they do have some. But I couldn't recommend. I think the question is to find out what I might use that you might be interested in, and in that area I can't be very helpful. Sorry. But if you've gotten one of those machines that I love so much, that Baby Lock makes, and Brother makes, and Juki makes, and they're straight stitch, light industrial machines. They do 1,500 stitches a minute as opposed to 800. Those take industrial feet. Then I can tell you all kinds of stuff.
Can and will.
Get Brian, stop me.
Yeah, Marlene says, I inherited my mother's 1951 featherweight. I use the zipper foot from that even on my modern zigzag stitches. Or zigzag machines, sorry. Don't always stitches.
Yep, as long as that needle hole isn't too wide, you can still do that. I remember the first time I tried to use one of those narrow ones, and I was using it on a machine in a class I was teaching. And of course it was like the feed dog were so far apart that the little tiny foot sat between the feed dog, which means nothing is going to happen. Nothing.
Nothing's going anywhere.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, yeah. So anyway, what else?
Are there any announcements for this week?
I think. Oh, yes, I can. All right, so at the Puyallup Sewing and Stitchery Expo that's taking place in March, the virtual classes I'm teaching, they're all sold out again. They opened up another shirt class.
Great announcement. Great announcement.
But my good announcement is, if you know anybody who wants to take the 5 Easy Tees, they're going to sell that as a replay. So it'll be cheaper, and you'll still be able to buy the kit, and you'll have a month to take the class.
You just won't be in the live class to ask questions. Okay.
Correct. But chances are all your questions have been answered. So you'll be watching the replay of the live class.
Okay.
And
so tell your friends or yourself.
Contact sewexpo.com about it if you're interested. Yes, I think that was my only announcement.
Okay. Well, then I guess we will be back next week. We have a lot of interest in the bag so long.
Okay.
I'm sure people are going to go out buying their jeans, so we'll have to talk about getting that on the schedule.
Yeah, and we'll talk about when we're going to do that next week and give you some ideas on how to get prepped for it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us and going completely off topic in a good way, we hope. And feel free again to send us any emails with questions you might have, islandersewing@comcast.net. And that's questions about what you're working on now, or if you have questions you want us to answer on Tuesdays at 2.
And thank you so much for being a part of Tuesdays at 2. We love the conversation, the feedback, the questions, participation. It's just fabulous. So we really appreciate that here at Tuesdays at 2.
All right. We will see you next week.
Bye now.